How do you design really strong value propositions where your customer just thinks it's a no-brainer and your sales just skyrocket? So if you want to create a stronger value proposition and get more sales in your SaaS business, you can think about it in these 3 different ways. Break down what you have in functional features, service features, and commercial features, and then figure out where your sticking point is and improve that, right? So I had a customer, they sold event management software. Their clients really wanted to have an email function. They really wanted to have all of their past legacy data into the new solution, and also they were currently stuck with existing contracts with other providers. So we invented these 3 different features to solve the problem. We just built the email function because the customers wanted that. Then we provide migration services to solve all the legacy data and move it into our platform. And then we offer to buy them out or eat the overlap from their existing providers, thus giving them no excuse not to say yes. So if your customers are not saying yes, don't just look at the functional features, look at the combination of functional features, the services, and the deal features or the commercial features in order to create a stronger value proposition. I had a customer once, they did event management software. And I want to tell you a story about how we designed a value proposition that just literally doubled their sales within a course of a quarter. So what they did was, this was pre-COVID, back when people had physical events and conferences and so forth. And the company sold software to companies that had a lot of events. So this would be hotel chains, but it would also be like different sorts of businesses that just would have events, a lot of like law firms, they have a lot of events. We had done some packaging and pricing for them, and we had focused on the for-profit customer. So we said, well, we're going to have events software and we're going to price it and package it this way. And then during the course of this work, we had talked about what we would do for non-profit organizations. And actually at the end of the project, the CEO sent me an email and said, well, we just had this conversation with a non-profit, and it went really well. But here's an email from them concerning sort of, because they'd given them a product demo, so there was some feedback, and they're telling us about some price points that they have with their current provider, and maybe we can use that when we want to do our non-profit pricing next. And then I looked at the email that he had from this customer, and true enough, there was a price point where the customer said, well, we are already buying this other software and it's priced at, I can't remember what it was, like 10,000 or 20,000 a year. But that was actually the least valuable piece of information in that email. And it's become sort of a classic, let's say, like micro case study that I use to explain how you can sort through different steps in a value proposition to increase the product value and increase the conversion rate of your sales, and also the pricing that you can charge for the product that you deliver. Whenever you get an email, something like that, you get a lot of clues as to what kind of problems you need to solve to make this customer buy, right? So the functional feature that the customer says is that we want to be able to do the thing with the email, right? So this is something that the software does that the customer really cares about. So something like, okay, we can, and actually in this case, my client said, well, we're actually building that feature. It's going to launch in like 3 weeks. So like we can check that off. That's really great. And this client had decades worth of material and past events and pictures and so forth that they wanted to have in the new software if they were to use it. So we needed to add migration services. If we don't have this, the customer's not going to buy, right? We can have a really beautiful product. We can have the email feature. We can, even if we ignore the contract for now, and so forth. They really like our solution better, but they don't have the time to spend like 3 or 6 months just migrating 10 years of like past legacy shit up to the new platform, so they're not going to do it. They're going to keep postponing and so forth. Even if they are going to buy, we're going to have a really long sales cycle, and it's going to be a really expensive sale compared to, you know, whatever else. So if we just add migration services, we might even be able to charge for it. So more money to us. Customer says yes, and they say yes sooner, faster than they otherwise would have. So add that, and this customer is happy. Finally, we have the issue that they are already stuck with the competitor contract for 2 years, right? So they're saying, well, even if you solve the email and you solve the migration, we can't buy until like in 2 years' time. So what do? Well, I call it eat the overlap, right? So if you have 22 months left of an existing contract, we can say something like, well, whatever that contract is worth, we will just take it out of our price, right? So you don't have to pay double, right? You don't have to pay for them and us. But you then say yes now, right? You migrate over, we will do the migration and so forth, but you come with us, we might even do something like a 3-year contract or whatever it is, but you churn from there and onboard here so that we win your business today, right? So sometimes I call it buying out competitor contracts. In this case, I called it eat the overlap. If you don't have a solution that sells itself and customers are just saying yes all the time, you can go look for friction or issues in your offering, and you can use this framework of functional, service, and commercial to identify where you're lacking. And what I see a lot, especially with early stage software companies, let's say below 5-10 million recurring revenue, is that they focus way too much on the functional side. So it's just a really powerful, simple framework to identify where the sticking point is, why your customer is not saying yes, and then you can add that to, let's say, blow out the bottleneck and actually get more sales faster and easier than you would otherwise have. It's worked for me and my clients in the past, and I hope it will help you too. Thank you.